Love, exciting and new.
Hello, Hannah Waddingham here. Have you seen the fabulous new Sun Princess? World-class entertainment, exceptional dining, and the greatest pizza ever.
It's a love.
Don't miss our Come Aboard sale with up to 40% off and free room upgrades. Visit princess.com or call your travel advisor to book. Princess Cruises. Terms and restrictions apply. Offer ends 2/28/25. Ships are Bermudan and British Registry.
This episode is brought to you by Nerds Gummy Clusters, the sweet treat that always elevates the vibe. With a sweet gummy surrounded with tangy, crunchy nerds, every bite of Nerds Gummy Clusters brings you a whole new world of flavor. Whether it's game night, on the way to a concert, or kicking back with your crew, unleash your senses with Nerds Gummy Clusters.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts, and to my right is a man who is a little bit bummed this morning because all the job vacancies in the NFL have pretty much been, well, except for one. There's only one left, Dustin. New Orleans Saints have not announced.
Which is that is the surprising one to me. That is the surprising one to me. I thought that would have been filled faster than some of the other jobs that were out there. But here we are. We're going to get into it. But I am disappointed. And it's because I was a finalist for the Raiders job. That's right. I'm breaking the news here. Oh. I was a finalist for the Raiders job. But I said, Pete Carroll, he deserves a spot back in the game. Sorry, Tom. I'm going to have to turn you down. He was targeting Ben Johnson, then me. Pete Carroll was the third choice, but I decided to graciously step aside to do my favor to the NFL and the coaching world and the Carroll family for bringing Seattle to its only Super Bowl title. And I said, Pete, you need any extra gum? I got you. So. All right. How are you today? I'm good to be here with you. I kind of lost Steve at the end there.
You did. I'm playing hurt right now. I've got a little bit of a sinus issue going on, but it could be that the fact that I just ran out of allergy meds. Also, it could be a cold because there's a nasty cold going around. So my sister got it. My brother, my nephew have had it. I could have gotten it at the game on Sunday because it's New Jersey. You don't know. But you don't know where it comes from. But you know what? I'm taking all the precautionary measures. I've got got my fluids, got my coffee, got my tea, got all the stuff. I got the vitamin C. I got everything. I got emergency, everything. I got everything going on for me. So just to build up my immune system and get it out. Get it out because I got stuff to do. All right. Before we get into the business, get into all the business we got to take care of today, let's remind you about our socials. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search No Credentials Required. You can see them all on the screen. Also, check out all our stuff at bellyupsports.com for other podcasts and written material as well. Subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And don't forget also to get notified. Hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube. That way, when when show announcements go up, when new videos go up. I was going to plan on working on a long-form reaction to Aaron Glenn being hired by the New York Jets, but I've been trying to feel better as opposed to push through and produce something. But you might see it over the weekend. You might see it on Monday. Something little extra for the show. We go back live on Tuesday. So.
No credentials required. Extra.
Shout out to our boy Drew Willingham. So yes, again on the podcast side, rate, review, comment, leave a rating. 5-star rating will be helpful. If you're on a platform where you can leave a review, leave a review. Also, leave a comment on Spotify. You can leave comments, and we'll read them on the air. We'll read them on the air. We don't care how polite or how boorish they are. We will read them on the air. And we've got some comments rolling in, Dustin. Again, we are a live show on Tuesdays at 6:30 Eastern, Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll replay on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel at 1 o'clock Eastern, and at 8 o'clock Eastern on Wednesdays and 1 o'clock Eastern on Saturdays. But we got some comments rolling in. But Dustin, the little hand and the big hand are trying to tell me something.
It's chime time.
It is indeed chime time. All right, we do have those comments rolling in. Sportsman checking in saying sports ball. And the pink hand of Sapna also saying sports ball. And Snowman saying McCoffee. Yeah, it's up, Snowman.
What's up, Snowman? Happy to have you here this Saturday morning. And I'm calling it right now, a little mini on the air production meeting. We got to get you on when the baseball season's going to start. Love talking. I'd like to talk baseball with you again. I remember our last episode when you were on and we were talking playoff baseball. You and I got into it about Dave Niehaus, and you shared some cool stories about Dave Niehaus, so we got to make that happen again.
Indeed. But right now it's football season. We're going to talk about we're talking about football. We're going to talk about the NFL Conference Championship. We're going to update you on the NFL Coaching Carousel. But first, it's another edition. It's a Saturday tradition now. It is time for, where is it? Where are you? Is it here?
Show me that burger. Oh no, the burger, they're still frying it. They're still frying it on the grill, Ryan.
Yeah, we're still frying it. But it's time for another edition. It's another edition of Hot Food Takes. Dustin and I have been privately texting back and forth with each other about what we're going to cover for Hot Food Takes, and this was just kind of started based off a comment that was left on our Facebook page during a past live stream about meatloaf. So that was left by our Belly Up Fantasy Sports writer extraordinaire, Kevin Wilson. And he asked about meatloaf. I think it was during our
was one of the Saturday live streams, I think.
No, it was during our Ask Us Anything.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
that's right. I forgot about that. The AMA, that's right.
Yes. Yeah, we had an AMA. We had participants just leave their questions in the chat, ask us anything. Oh, there it is. It's ready. There it is.
There we go. The burger came off the grill.
It came off the grill, and it's extra bouncy. Which
I always am concerned about that bun. I said that top bun's got no chance of staying on there.
And like I said, that meat's sort of suspicious too.
I
gotta admit, it meat's suspicious. So we text back and forth about ideas of what to do for Hot Food Takes, and this time around, last week we did peanut butter. Week before we did potato chips.
Yeah.
This time around, we're talking about our favorite chips that are not potato chips. So it could be anything. It could be Doritos. It could be Cheetos. It could be pretzels. It could be those Takis that I see that are, I don't know what they are, but
yeah, I'm not on the Taki train.
I have never had them, so I can't say. But let's talk about our favorite chips that are not potato chips, Dustin. Go ahead and kick us off.
All right.
Warm us up.
This is just going to be off the dome, and I have legitimate anxiety that I'm going to text you later and be like, I forgot to mention my favorite chip, X. I totally forgot about it. But you're going to notice a common theme between a lot of my picks. But I have to say, and as with everything, I like to have certain chips with certain dishes. Someone who I dated, she used to say you put conditions on everything. And the older I get, the more I'm realizing I have conditions for certain things. And chips are no different. So here we go. Number one, since you said at the top of the show, and I guess I'm going to go, all right, I'll go backwards. I'll go backwards to keep the suspense. But you're going to notice a common theme. Number 3 coming in is Fritos. I love a good Frito. If I am having hot dogs, Fritos are the go-to side. I don't know why. Fritos are also wonderful to have in chili. You haven't tried it? Top it. Fritos are great to have with queso. The scoops present a excellent dipping vessel. And, with a chili dog, Fritos pair well. Fritos, very versatile. And they are so oily that you can feel it on your fingers. And the bags are small, figure it out, Frito-Lay. I don't need, these bags. It makes me feel self-conscious when I can go through half a bag in a sitting. Is that a me problem? No, Fritos. I'm putting it squarely on you. Now, number 2.
Get into my brain.
Number 2, nacho cheese Doritos. Nacho cheese Doritos, one of the OGs. It's a Super Bowl staple at my house. Ryan, you've been to Super Bowl parties at my house. I always have Fritos out to kind of, it's an appetizer. It whets the palate for whatever's coming next, whatever culinary delights I've decided to cook up. Spoilers, it's probably going to be ziti or something like that this year, Ryan. We're going Italian and something I can cook in big batches. But obviously, I haven't got the Facebook invite out yet, but you're invited. Uncle Al, I see you in the comments. You're invited too. Clever pun on Top Bun Maverick, by the way. A shout out to Uncle Al. He and you are the pun masters. Okay, so now number 2, nacho cheese Doritos. I know they have so many different flavors. Special shout out to Cool Ranch. I like the Cool Ranch, but nacho cheese, despite salsa verde, also very good. But shout out, nacho cheese comes in at my number 2. It's a go-to, and it's an also crushable snack. I can go through like a family size bag in an unreasonably short amount of time. I have to stop myself. Number one, with a bullet. Cheese curls or cheese puffs or any variation. This
cheesy poofs.
Suspiciously, okay, so not suspiciously, geez. I don't know what word I was looking for there, but it's not that. This, any type of form, but I do have a favorite brand, Ryan, because I like crunchy better if it's Cheetos brand. I like the crunchy better if it's Cheetos brand. I haven't gotten on the hot Cheetos train like a lot of these kids. I know the hot Cheetos, they're not bad, but I'm not obsessed with it the way some people are. Number 1 with a bullet, though, is Jack's cheese curls.
Ooh,
I love me some Jack's. I have a bag right in my basement where I store stuff. I have a bag down there. These are a childhood memory for me because it might surprise you, Ryan, to know that I could be a bit of a tough baby, Mom said when I was younger. I would eat and sleep, but I was so slow at eating when she's trying to feed me and stuff that I would by the time I woke up from my nap, it would be time for another meal. And she's like, how is this possible? But also I could throw tantrums at the store every once in a while when I was a real little tyke and she's taking me around. The only thing that was guaranteed to stop me, she had a little container and she'd keep a couple of Jacks in there. And during emergencies, real meltdowns, she would give me Jacks. I would shut the heck up. So Jacks have been a part of my life for as long as I can remember, and I still love them. I love all brands of cheese curls, really. I'll get down on store brand every once in a while. Oots makes a good one. Cheetos, of course, Chester Cheetah, he's my guy. But Jack's is number 1 spot. Honorable mention to Goldfish. I love Goldfish, but I didn't know if I could classify them as a chip. I really struggled with this, but it's enough of me talking. It's time for your list, Ryan. Where are you at?
I'll keep it short and sweet because we got a lot to get to. But
yeah,
so number three is Doritos. Is nacho cheese Doritos.
Okay. Yep.
The spicy ones are good too.
Yeah, they're good.
Sometimes after church, back in the day, I would go to Stewart's and or Speedway or one of the convenience stores and grab a bottle of Pepsi. Nowadays, it's sugar. It's Pepsi zero sugar, and a bag of Doritos, just because I want a little snack. After post church snack, so to speak.
The PCS.
Yes, the post church snack. Number 2, and I love these since I was a kid. Bugles.
Oh yeah.
Like the corn chips, the little, like you put them on your fingers.
Yeah,
like,
that's
I
what you
got
gotta
nails.
That's what you gotta do.
Bugles were great because they didn't come in a bag where you get stale really quickly. They came in a box. So it felt like when you were a kid, they felt extra fresher because of the fact that they were in a box and not in a bag. But number 1 for me will be Crunchy Cheetos.
All right.
Crunchy Cheetos, because again, it's another PCS, another post-church snack. If I didn't see Doritos, I would go right for the Cheetos. And honorable mention goes to Fritos, because yes, Fritos are very versatile, especially the big ones, the big scoop. You could put them in. You could substitute nachos.
Yeah.
If you make nachos one night, you could just put the taco meat on them, put them in the oven, and come out real nice. So yeah, that's for me. That's for me. It's the nacho cheese Doritos, Bugles, and crunchy Cheetos. Because Chester Cheetah, it ain't easy being cheesy.
That's a great list.
Scott in the chat, our friend Scott in the chat says, I'm going old school, high school days, Andy Capp's hot fries. They were my jam back in the day. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and also, Scott, if you weren't watching since the beginning of the show, I know I haven't got the Facebook invite out, but you and Katie are invited, as always, to the Super Bowl party. It is happening. I have had a lot of family things going on. It is happening.
It's happening. It's happening. This has been happening on Hot Food Takes. There's that burger again. I wonder how far you have to drop it to get that bounce effect.
I don't know, man.
You need a physics lesson.
It's unnatural.
That's from Canva. That's a Canva element. I got to talk to them. Hey Canva, can you do the science for me when it comes to that burger drop?
Cut to them never responding to your emails again.
Yeah, we have blocked you on every social media channel. Oh my gosh. All right, we're gonna move on to the conference championship. This is what we've been waiting for. There's only 3 games left in the NFL season, Dustin, and 2 of them happen on Sunday. The first game will happen at 3:00 Eastern between the Washington Commanders, who have suddenly become America's team, and the Philadelphia Eagles. The 3:00 start, 3:00 kickoff on Fox. Let's get your impressions of this game. I will say with a disclaimer, I did have a chance to watch our friend, we mentioned him at the top of the show, Drew Willingham. I watched his Commanders Gridiron Report yesterday. I was watching a little bit of that. And he's rocking an America bandana and sunglasses and a Terry McLaurin, a Commanders jersey. And he's doing it like a wrestling type promo.
Oh man, he's cutting a promo.
He's cutting a promo, and it's out of this world entertainment. So if you're a Commanders fan, go check out his stuff on Sartoba Media. It's awesome stuff. But yeah, let's talk about this game, Dustin. What are your impressions about this game? What do both teams have to do to ensure victory and a ticket to New Orleans on February 9th?
Well, there are some reports that Jalen Hurts, he's going to play, but he says his knee is progressing and he'll probably be in a knee brace for the game. So that's going to hurt the Eagles slightly. Not that Jalen was playing up to his some of his previous play, but if the Eagles defense has been playing well, and you know, they've got to lean on Saquon. That's what they've got to do. They've got to lean on Saquon, and they've got to lean on the defense. And Jalen can probably do enough to win the Eagles this game if they want to win. But he hasn't really been playing lights out anyway. So, you know, no disrespect to him, but the fact that I feel like his knee isn't 100%, isn't going to impact their game plan as much as it sounds like it might. As long as he can still throw the ball to Devonta Smith and AJ Brown and the tight end whose name is escaping me at the moment. I apologize.
Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert. That's right. As long as he can throw the ball to those three, and they can also, spell Saquon with like Kenneth Gainwell every once in a while. That's going to be the Eagles' game plan. To win the game, the Commanders will have to come up with a rushing attack to kind of balance out and make it so that their offense is not just Jaden Daniels running it around and throwing bombs to Terry McLaurin. Because Terry McLaurin is going to have to find, for the second consecutive week, he's going to have to find a way to get behind the defense. And the priority number one for the Commanders to win this game, you have to stop Saquon Barkley, or at least limit him. Saquon Barkley is what makes the Eagles go. For all of their big-name weapons that people know, it's not A.J. Brown that makes him go. It is not, especially this year, it is not Jalen Hurts that makes him go. Jalen Hurts is a complementary element on this offense. It is Saquon Barkley. If the Commanders can find a way to somewhat shut down, because you're not going to fully shut down an athlete of Saquon Barkley's caliber, but if you can limit Saquon and make the Eagles a little more one-dimensional, that's the key to the Commanders winning this game. And I kind of hope they do it. I got an uncle that Uncle Bill loves the Commanders. D. Willie loves the Commanders, and they've been waiting a long time. The Commanders fans have been through a lot. They've been waiting a long time. No disrespect to the Eagles. I think this is going to be a good game. Jaden Daniels has got to continue to play the way that he plays and don't get rattled by the situations. I think this is going to be a good one.
This is going to be a good one. The spread right now, I believe, is Eagles favored by 6, which is interesting. And I was trying to look at stats, but I came across, as soon as I went to the 4-letter network, there's a story on its front page. As soon as you go to the website on the 4-letter network, it says sources: Snyder hates Commanders' success.
Good. We all hate Dan Snyder. So
I just kind of skimmed over the article a little bit, and it says, what's it like? And this is from Seth Wickersham and Don Van Natta Jr. I'm going a little bit farther in the article. It says, what's it like for Snyder? For years, the most hated owner in sports. Although Donald Sterling might have something to say about that. Who watched the Commanders succeed without him. He effing hates it. Snyder's dinner companion told the column.
Who's going to dinner at that house?
It wasn't his house. It was somewhere in London.
Oh, okay. Well, who's going to dinner with the Snyders? Because by all accounts, they're both POSs. And who would come out to the media and be like, yeah, I was there?
People. British people. Yeah. That's all I can really say. I was looking at this. I was trying to look at the stats for the 2 games that they played each other this year and what Saquon Barkley's stats were. So in the first game, which was at Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts threw for 221 yards. Saquon Barkley had 146 yards on 26 carries and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And the Eagles limited the Commanders. Especially Jalen Daniels, he threw an interception. But in the second game, which actually, if you look at it, this game, if the Eagles had continued to slide, the Commanders would have possibly won the NFC East.
Mm-hmm.
But in the second game, Saquon Barkley ran for 150 yards, so it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
It didn't really matter what the Commanders' rush defense did. They could not contain Saquon Barkley. However, in the second game, Jalen Hurts was knocked out with a concussion. He was knocked out of the game.
That's
very
right.
Early. They
Then
brought in
Kenny Pickett had to come in. Yeah.
They brought in Kenny Pickett, who did okay, but the Commanders outscored it. And the Eagles were up 14-0 in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And the Commanders came all the way back. They stormed all the way back to win 36-33 in front of a raucous crowd at FedEx Field.
Well,
sorry, Northwest Field. Sorry.
Oh, I keep forgetting about all that stuff. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but I believe where the Commanders got kind of destroyed by the Eagles, Jaden Daniels did have that stretch in the season after that rib injury where you could tell he was playing through it, but he wasn't the same guy.
No.
So he kind of had a little slide. I think when that first Eagles victory might have been during that time. I'm not 100% sure.
I think you may be right because he suffered that injury against the Carolina Panthers. And yeah, it was a couple weeks after the Panthers game. So they beat the Bears, they beat the Giants, lost to the Steelers, then lost to the Eagles.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that stretch where he had that rib injury. But in the second game, he had 258 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But also had 2 interceptions. So yeah, this is gonna be one of those games. Nobody expected to see, unless you're a Commanders fan, like our friend Drew Willingham. We had him on the show after the Hail Mary game when they beat Chicago. Commanders fans are going wild. They're going buck wild because, yes, Daniel Snyder hates the fact that the Commanders are doing so successful without him.
Yeah.
Which is delicious. Which is delicious, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what, Ryan? Let's start a campaign. Everybody on social media, everybody that's watching this show, let's ship Daniel. Let's find a P.O. box if he has one associated with him. I'm not for doxing people, but let's find a P.O. box and let's ship him a bunch of vanilla ice cream and just see how he likes it. Do you remember? Daniel Snyder apparently, after one of the coaches was hired, I cannot remember who it was, but he left a bunch of vanilla ice cream on that person's desk and said, "I don't like my schemes so vanilla." So let's return the favor. And
here it is.
Yeah.
Dan Snyder, the former owner of the Washington football team, now the Washington Commanders, left a gallon of non-vanilla ice cream on the desk of defensive coordinator Mike Nolan.
Oh.
Snyder did this after becoming dissatisfied with Nolan's defensive schemes, which he called, quote, too vanilla. And it was Baskin Robbins ice cream.
Okay. All right.
This was during the 1999 season.
Yeah. So it was, and then Nolan would go on to become the head coach of the 49ers for a few years.
Yes, he would. He would. So, well, yeah, if we could find a P.O. box, ship him some Baskin Robbins vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, just tons of it.
Just full crate.
Yeah.
Crate's full. But yeah, this is going to be one of those games where both teams are going to have to contain the stars of the opposing offense. So both defenses are going to have to be spot on. And yeah, like you mentioned, Jalen Hurts is not playing 100% right now. He had suffered a concussion in week 16 to the same Commanders team. And I believe it's interesting. I was on Corner Booth show on Thursday, and Jared hates Frankie Louvu with a white hot burning passion for multiple reasons. One of them, I think he was the one who knocked out Jalen Hurts in that game.
Yeah.
He's also the one who knocked Jared Goff for a loop last week in the divisional title game. But yeah, this is going to be, I don't think you're going to be able to contain Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
They failed to do it in the first 2 games of the season. I don't see them doing this in this game, but I think if you can limit Jalen Hurts and you can limit all his targets to his receivers and make him do checkdowns so he can get the easy tackle, this is going to be a different game than I think people suspect. It's not to say I don't believe in the Commanders, but I think the Eagles, especially in the front line, the front line on both the offense and defense, they're too good. They're too good.
They are good, and we mentioned it. We mentioned it on last week's Tuesday's show. Mekhi Becton has been playing very well for the Eagles. And also, who's the draft pick, Carter, that they got, and he dropped in the first round because of some character concerns. he's been very good defensively for the Eagles. So I mean they're hitting on draft picks and acquisitions, but that's no surprise. Roseman's been a good GM for a long time.
Yes, he has. Indeed, he has. And where is it? I've got it. Okay. Hang on one second. I got a special treat for you, Dustin.
Oh man.
Got a special treat. And if you are a native of Philadelphia, you had to be face palming hard after what your mayor did a couple days ago.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Listen, we've got to do this. Let me hear you all say E-L-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Let's go, Birds!
She's getting primaried.
You know what that is? You know what that is? That's Homer Simpson. I am so smart. SMRT. Oh, man.
Yeah, she's getting primaried.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the nightcap, which is I guess you could say the main event, part 2.
Yeah.
Bills at Chiefs, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. It's on CBS. This is going to be Look, we talked about how the media hyped up the Lions and the Vikings in Week 18 as the greatest regular season game ever in the history of ever, and it turned out to be a flop. This game's not going to be a flop.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination. Chiefs are favored by 1.5. It's at Arrowhead. It's going to be a relatively warm affair, I guess. If you look at the weather, the weather for Philly on Sunday is going to be, it's 39 degrees. And then at Arrowhead, it's at kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
And at Arrowhead, it's going to be 32 degrees. So it's going to be a nice balmy winter day in the Midwest at 6:30 p.m. kickoff time, 5:30 local time, if you're so inclined. This game is going to be, I think it could go one of two ways. Either this is going to be a defensive affair where both defenses, and we talked about the Chiefs defense last week, how when the Texans got into Chiefs territory, they pinned their ears back and they went at CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
To the tune of 9 sacks total.
Yeah.
Last week, the Bills defense took their foot off the gas pedal after they got racing out to a 21-0 lead. And yes, their defense contributed with the interception, which turned into points,
mm-hmm.
and a scoop by Von Miller, which also turned into points.
Yeah.
But they allowed the Ravens to get back in the game. And if it weren't for Mark Andrews tragically dropping that ball for the 2-point, that would have turned into a 2-point conversion, we might not be seeing the Bills in this game on Sunday.
Yeah. That's and shout out to the Bills fans because they did what they always do. They donated a lot of money to Mark Andrews charity.
Yeah.
So, that's a very nice thing. But I said it last week after the Ravens, and then I'll turn it back over to you. But that's why I'm concerned about this Bills team, because they played a perfect game last week. Let's not get it. Everything was humming for the Bills. They played one of their best games of the season, and the Ravens most certainly did not. And they were uncharacteristic. They turned the ball over 3 times, and they still almost came back to win that game. So I have a lot of concerns about the Bills, but I want to hear more about what you have to say before I jump in, Ryan.
Okay, so it could be one of two games. Either it's going to be a defensive affair where points are going to be at a premium, or this is going to be the game that is just in high scoring, like it was back in 2022, I want to say, when the Bills and the Chiefs had to go overtime, and
yes,
which started the whole controversy about overtime and overtime rules and this and that. I also think the Chiefs have revenge on their minds because of the only loss. One of their only 2 losses in the season was against Buffalo in Buffalo.
Yeah,
and that was the game that that was the game where they allowed 30 points to the Buffalo Bills and they lost. So the Chiefs are going to have to pick things up offensively. They can't get off to a slow start, especially against this Bills team, which can score. They can score a lot of points.
Yep.
As I mentioned, and on Tuesday's show, Josh Allen is doing incredible because Joe Brady, his offensive coordinator, is helping to complement him with the running game. And James Cook is that guy who can get the running game going. Now, unlike CJ Stroud, who is more of a traditional pocket passer and could do some scrambling, Josh Allen can get out of the pocket, and there are design plays for the Bills side, which are running plays for Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
So the Chiefs are going to have to do a good job and maybe having a spy look out for Josh Allen to make sure that he doesn't get out of the pocket. When he gets out of the pocket, he can go right at him. All in all, though, although I love the fact that my brother Jeremy, my nephew Christian, CJ Fire Beast, they are big Bills fans. I'm sorry, Buffalo. I know you're hungry for a title, but I think the Chiefs crowd is gonna be too loud to overcome, and I think the Chiefs defense is too good with Steve Spagnuolo doing his thing. He should be a head coaching candidate again.
Yeah.
In his first shot in St. Louis as the Rams head coach back after his success with the Giants, but I think he likes it too much in Kansas City to go anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? They're the standard right now. And when your benchmark is when the furthest you've advanced without winning a Super Bowl is the AFC Championship game, why would you want to leave that? And maybe his family really likes the area there. I don't know. We're making a couple leaps, but I'm surprised he didn't at least get an interview during this. Well, it's actually because his team is still in it, so he can't get interviewed, right? You can't take interviews during
you can't take interviews while your team's still in the playoffs.
So I answered my own question. Sorry, guys. Sometimes I'm an idiot, but my thoughts on this game.
Sometimes you got to talk it out amongst yourself.
Yeah. But I kind of agree with you, Ryan. It's going to be tough because the Chiefs, they just have that experience. They're like the wily boxer that doesn't have the knockout power that they once did, but they'll still surprise you and knock you out just because they know how to fight. They know how to do it. And the Chiefs DeAndre Hopkins has to show up in this game, though. If the Chiefs they didn't really have an offensive option aside from Travis Kelce. Without Travis Kelce's, dare I say, I don't want to use the term heroics, but you know what I mean. Without him there, I don't think they win that game against the Ravens. And also the Bills. Patrick Mahomes is more mobile than people give him credit for. And he also, while I don't think they have designed plays as the Bills will for Josh Allen, Mahomes is a master at extending plays and giving his receivers extra time. The Bills cannot let him do that. And I'm going to go, though, Ryan. I'm going to say the Bills have been like the upstart Bulls that were trying to knock off those Pistons and Celtic teams in the 80s and 90s in the NBA, and they finally did it. I'm going to say the Bills finally do it this year because they have momentum right now. Okay. They can outscore. This Chiefs team hasn't scored a 30-point game. The Giants, as we talked about in the regular season, the Giants have more 30-point games. I've been saying it for a long time, and maybe it's partially wishful thinking. No disrespect to the Chiefs. They are an amazing franchise. I've always liked Andy Reid. I'm glad he figured out his clock management woes later in his career. Sorry, Philly fans, that he didn't figure it out when he was coaching your team. But I think the Bills have enough to win this game, and it's partially because of the play of their defense. Matt Milano's back. They're getting healthier. And James Cook has been really running the ball well for the Bills, which balances out the offense. I keep saying it because Amari Cooper hasn't really been the the one like he was in Cleveland. He hasn't been as much of a factor as we thought he was going to be, but because of Josh Allen's wonderful play and Dalvin Cook and the improving play of their defense, and if Von Miller can turn back the clock one more time, maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I think because the Bills have been on this run where they've been able to convert turnovers into points, if Patrick Mahomes plays a little bit of an uncharacteristically sloppy game, a little bit, they can do it again. They did it against what I think is a Ravens team that has more weapons and a better running attack in Derrick Henry. The turnovers turned into points for the Bills. They're going to have to follow that roadmap again. And Dalvin Cook, if he can establish the run, it's going to help out with all the designed runs for Josh Allen. Josh Allen is going to be able to evade pressure. I think that Kansas City defensive line will be somewhat neutralized by Josh Allen's ability and size. He's also big and can push through. But it's going to be a tough game for the Bills. But I'm gonna pick them. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna pick them.
Yeah, some are saying take the over. Some are saying take the under. I'm inclined more towards the under. Yeah. But this is not a sportsbook show, so just disclaimer. All right. Before we go to commercial break, got a couple comments in the comments section. Your Uncle Al saying after the season they had, watching the Eagles get bounced at home would be so satisfying. My contempt for that franchise is delicious. And say his name and he appears. Kevin Wilson from Belly Up Fantasy Sports. He says the Bills can't expect the Chiefs to turn over the ball like the Ravens did. Yeah, that's true. The Chiefs, they protect the ball. They protect the ball, unlike the Ravens did last week. So this is going to be dare I say, epic matchup. And I hate the overuse of that word, but
I know
it's true. It's going to be one of those games where it's going to go crazy. And another comment, Grit on the Gridiron says Chiefs are the Chiefs, man. Hard to pick against them. Would be an amazing game if Bills can come back.
Yeah. Yeah,
thank you for joining us, Grit on the Gridiron. We appreciate you coming in. He also says Brady and Manning, Allen and Mahomes. And here's the crazy part. You mentioned Travis Kelce. He's second. He's only 2 behind Jerry Rice for all-time playoff touchdowns. Crazy.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
And he's a tight end.
And all these modern tight ends, they really have to thank, and I'm probably not going back far enough, but Ryan, for me, the benchmark for the modern tight end, quote unquote, is Tony Gonzalez. He changed the position. Yeah,
you're right. And it's too bad that he didn't go to more. Didn't see the playoffs as much as he should have back in the day, and got too much love for the playoffs. All right, take a commercial break, but we'll come back. Coaching Carousel update. And our favorite athletes to wear the number 7. Stay tuned and stand by for more No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air roasted, 100% money back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. Mugs up, you sons of snitches. It's Invader Coffee time. I got tiramisu in my mug. I'm pretty sure Dustin's got some Bad Santa or some other holiday blend. Kind of extend those holidays out. But yeah, Invader Coffee, they've been one of our OG affiliate sponsors since we brought this podcast back in 2020. Great coffee. Veteran-owned company. So if you love your veterans, you love supporting your country, you love supporting the veterans after their service is done, and we appreciate Invader Coffee, all the veterans who work for that company. We appreciate you. Go out and get yourself some coffee. It's link is in the description. It's our affiliate link. You can also use promo code BELLYUP at checkout. You get 15% off your order. It'll ship fast. It'll ship to your door. It'll be at your door in a matter of days. freshly roasted coffee, air roasted, none of that acidity that makes you put all that extra junk in your coffee that just adds calories. To be honest with you, I'm a guy who's trying to watch his weight these days. You know, in my late 40s, and it's it's time to get healthy. You know, you want to live as long as you can, but a better coffee gives you your morning boost. I drink it black. It's a great coffee.
Yeah, delicious. And we've told the story, many variations of it on the show, but Ryan, when he was still in the first iteration of this show, and also when he was hosting it solo, he told me, he's like, "Hey, we got this coffee sponsor. I think you should try him out. It's good coffee." He knew I like to get down on some coffee, so I tried it. I've been drinking Invader long before I became a co-host on this show, 2 years before, in fact. And you're right, Ryan. I've got some Bad Santa in my mug right now, and it's delicious. I drink it black because, in my experience, they do the flavored thing right. When they do the flavored coffee, it's not overwhelming, but it's enough. You don't need to put all that cream and sugar in there. And I drink the coffee black just like you. They have it in whole bean or the ground variety. I prefer whole bean because I like to do the French press thing on the weekends when I got a little extra time. I know you're the same way. Use the promo code BELLYUP at checkout. Their shipping is very fast. Their customer service is very good. They have a lot of blends, whether it's medium, dark, or light that you like. Check it out today. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah. And they have their specialty blends, too, for the holidays. In particular, the Valentine's Day one called Chocolate Lust, which is available now in ground and whole bean.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get some myself. So go to our affiliate description. It's in our affiliate link is in the description, both on live and on replay. It's also available for our podcast listeners as well.
Invader, if you're listening, bring back Donut Dealer. It was the best.
It was really good. It was really good. Continuing in the comments, Grit in the Gridiron says the Chiefs defense is so good too. Says I'm a Packers fan first, NFL fan second. All right. He also asks us a coffee connoisseur. Yes, we are. And he asked if I make this. After I made this mug, I did not make this mug. This was I co-opted it for my sister.
It's a nice mug.
It's a nice mug. I think she painted it herself. So, but she's got another mug. She's a little mad. Like I took this one. She's like, I made this mug for myself. She made another one for herself. She goes, I made this mug. You cannot have it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's cool. All right, we're gonna update you on the NFL Coaching Carousel. There's the carousel. Those little horsies. I don't have any music to go with it though. But it's been a fast and furious 48 hours in regards to the NFL Coaching Carousel. We also had a GM firing because apparently hell froze over in Jacksonville on Thursday, and not because it's not, and it's not just because it snowed. Because yes, it was cold enough in Jacksonville on Thursday that it did snow. General manager, and I would say the execrable general manager of former execrable general manager, of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trent Baalke, was fired. And after that, we had a slew of hirings. So let's go over the list right now. Aaron Glenn, former Detroit Lions defensive coordinator, and now head coach of my New York Jets.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll, formerly of the Seattle Seahawks.
Yes.
The New England Patriots, the New York Jets, and University of Southern California, the Trojans. Now head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
We also had late last night, actually before late last night, former offensive coordinator of the Houston Texans, Bobby Slowick, was relieved of his duty.
Bring him to Seattle, please.
No. Come on.
No.
And late last night, Brian Schottenheimer is now the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh my God.
Let's talk about these hires.
Did you see the quote from Jerry Jones?
Oh my gosh.
He said he ain't Brian no more.
No. You gotta say it in your Jerry Jones voice.
Oh yeah. He ain't Brian no more. He's now known as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Pretty sure Brian is still his legal name, Jerry.
He's now known as head coach.
Oh my God.
Oh my. But let's do a full rewind about talk about these hires. We talked about Ben Johnson going to the Bears on our last episode when I introduced this segment. But now we've had hirings. The only vacancy that's currently open is the New Orleans Saints, curiously enough. So I'm going to do a long form video later this weekend to give you my thoughts about the Aaron Glenn hiring. I thought, just to sum it up, I think it's a good hiring, but he's got to knock the offensive coordinator out of the park. Hey, Bobby Slowick's available. And the GM still needs to be hired. It's down to 3 names from what I understand. So, but I'll do a long form interview about that.
Oh, I got to tune into that.
Yeah, you do. And by long form, I mean like 10, 15 minutes, because I don't know how my voice is going to give out beforehand because of the sinus condition. But let's talk about these hirings, Dustin. What are your initial thoughts about, first off, about the New York Jets hiring Aaron Glenn? What are your initial thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, he was one of the hottest commodities, and this is what happens now. The Lions, unfortunately, have not won a title, but they've been, as part of this turnaround, their whole staff has been targeted, and I feel better. A little bit of a hot take on this one, but I feel that Aaron Glenn will do better with the Jets than Ben Johnson will do with the Bears. I can't really say why. I just feel it. It's just a feeling I have. I don't know. Everybody saw that Bears clip of, Ben Johnson saying, I really like beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. And he kind of smiled. And somebody under the comments said, why is this giving me Adam Gase vibes? And I can't shake that. I think he's going to do better than Adam Gase. And I think the Bears have better tools and better pieces, but we'll have to see how it translates. But I think Aaron Glenn has defensive pieces on the Jets right now. This is a hire they had to make. They had to get a defensive based guy, because that defense, the window is closing on that defense. He's got to strike while the iron is hot. But I think this is a good hire. They've got to get a decent GM in for the Jets. I don't know the names that it's been barreled down to, but overall, I think this is a good hire. I thought there was a chance that Aaron Glenn might go to the Saints. But he ends up on the Jets, and I think this is probably one of the better hires that they could have done. I just have a good feeling about it, and I can't really articulate why, other than Aaron Glenn has shown what he can do, even with a injury-prone defense in Detroit this season. With that Jets defense, I'm looking forward to see if he can turn it around.
Yeah, they don't have to change much in terms of personnel. He runs a 4-3 base. The Jets ran a 4-3 base last year. So the 3 candidates in waiting for the GM job are Lance Newmark, who is currently the assistant general manager in Washington and was pretty much was a lifer in Detroit before that, as a scout, as an assistant to the GM, all that stuff. The other 2 are Denver assistant general manager Darren. Is it Mugi or Muji? I don't know how to pronounce his last name. And Cincinnati Bengals personnel executive Trey Brown. So those are the 3 names that are out there. And I guess Aaron Glenn has a previous working relationship with Newmark because of his time in Detroit. So
yeah, okay.
We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, I'll give you a little preview of what I have to say about Aaron Glenn. He doesn't unlike Robert Saleh, he doesn't walk into a rebuild situation.
Yeah,
he just needs to do some retooling here and there. He's got some there's some free agents that they got to think about bringing back. DJ Reed is one of them. Morgan Moses is another. Tyron Brown, or Tyron Smith, excuse me. Although they can yeet him into the sun for his poor play last year. It's Olu Fashanu season, baby. Sorry, Olu Fashanu. But yeah, he's got some decisions to make. And we'll see if he can coexist with Aaron Rodgers if he decides to bring in Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. So that's a big question. That's going to be the big question. The second hiring, this was announced yesterday morning, was Pete Carroll, formerly of your Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, is
now the head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I gotta say this, and Kevin, and we had two comments in the comment section. First from Grit in the Gridiron says, "I feel bad for Pete. What does he have to look forward to? No quarterback, no team." And Kevin Wilson saying, "What is Pete going to do about the quarterback situation in Vegas? There are none in sight right now."
Yeah.
And I was listening to our guys, Levac and Gaz, yesterday, and Levac's a big Raiders fan. Been a Raiders fan for years. He said, and Gaz asked him if Pete Carroll was going to run it back with. He said, "Would it be okay if Pete Carroll ran it back with Russell Wilson?" And Levac just froze, and he's like, "If he does that, I'm going to jump out this first story window of this building." He's not because what do you do? What does Pete Carroll do? Because I don't want to say the cupboard's empty with the Raiders,
but it's pretty bare. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And Grid on the Gridiron says, I feel so sad. I feel sad for Pete. What does he have to look forward to? No QB, no team. And this is the thing. On an episode of Seahawks Sessions, I said to Mr. Smooth, my esteemed co-host on that program, and we'll have to get Kevin back on, especially to discuss we haven't had a show yet because I think we're kind of waiting to see who the OC is in Seattle so we can talk about that hire. But I'm going to want to talk about this too in long form over there. But I said there are rumors Pete's going to interview for the Raiders job, and I hope he doesn't take it because I felt the same way. They don't have anything. But also, if anyone could turn around the culture of the Raiders, I think it could be Pete Carroll, as long as he could get it, as long as the players buy into his style and his like endless energy and always compete mantra. Maybe he can do something like he did with the Seahawks and build through the draft. But you also, not to get into it, but Pete Carroll turned 74 years old in September, I think. So how long does he have to build this team? How long, if anybody, Pete is a young 74, if that makes sense. He still has energy.
He's got more energy than both of us combined at ages where we are. So
yeah, but I just feel like, I don't know, Pete, you got to get a QB, and Staniel Smooth, ever watching, he's everywhere. He texted me. He said, "Hear me out. Geno gets traded to the Raiders." If that happens, that's not Pete Carroll could use him as a bridge quarterback. Now, there are no indications from Mike McDonald or John Schneider that they want to get rid of Geno Smith as the quarterback. And, but we'll see. We'll see what kind of relationship John Schneider and Pete Carroll still have. And what I will be watching as a Seahawk fan, a lot of people are laying a lot of the personnel mistakes that were made in recent drafts at Pete Carroll because he had final say over John Schneider. It'll be interesting to compare the two side by side because one would have to assume Pete Carroll's going to have a similar say in Las Vegas. I don't think he would have taken this job if he didn't have at least some control over personnel decisions. So it's up to Pete to build this back, but I just don't know how long he has. And the Raiders, they're a while away. But it sounds like we got to get an episode of Seahawks Sessions together once the OC is hired because there's some things to talk about here.
So a couple of things. I looked at Spot Track. he has 1 year remaining. Geno Smith, I'm talking about here.
Yep.
He has 1 year remaining on his contract with the Seahawks at a cap hit of $44.5 million. And the Raiders have the number 6 pick in this year's draft. So I'm kind of curious to see if they'll make that move, for how aggressive their GM will be. I'm trying to remember who the new GM's name is.
Yeah, I can't. Hold on. We're doing some real-time
research. Here we go.
Real-time research, folks. And like I said, Kevin.
John Spytek.
Okay. Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see what kind of moves he makes. Do you move up in the draft and pick yourself a Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, or insert quarterback's name here? Do you trade down to get do you trade down in the second round to get like a Kyle McCord, or insert name here? So, but also there's that question: do you run it back with Geno Smith and make him a bridge quarterback for a year in Las Vegas, or do you just keep going with Aiden McConnell and Gardner Minshew for a year, and maybe draft the quarterback and see what happens from there?
Yeah, and as you mentioned that Gaz asked Levac about it. I think a lot of people's first thought were okay, Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson are going to get back together. I do not see that happening. The way that their relationship ended in Seattle was pretty much, ownership sided with Pete. Russ was pushing for more control if everything is to be believed, and they ultimately went with Pete Carroll, and we saw what Pete Carroll was able to do with Geno Smith. We thought that it was going to be a flaming mess, and it was not. So Russell Wilson did show up to a farewell dinner for Pete Carroll in Seattle after he was let go as the coach. So I think some things have been mended, but I do not see a universe where this happens, especially because of the way Russ's play tailed off at the end of the season for the Steelers. I think it hurt his value a little bit, and I just don't think Pete decides to bring him back down to Vegas, because especially, do they even have an offensive line? Like, could they protect an older Russell Wilson? I don't see it.
Yeah. Playmaker checking in, saying, no cred bros, what's up? Just dropping in real quick while working. Thanks, man. Thanks for appreciate you dropping by. Our next. Okay. So Thursday, we'll switch over to Jacksonville.
Okay.
So they had gone through a myriad of coaching candidates. They interviewed Robert Saleh. They interviewed a bunch of candidates. Nobody wanted the job. By the way, Robert Saleh going back to San Francisco. He's going to run it back with the 49ers as their defensive coordinator. So good luck to you, Coach Saleh, which is funny. So Trent Baalke gets fired on Thursday. Because we talked about this on Corner Booth. Look, coaches are coming in, they're getting interviews. Nobody wants to work with Trent Baalke. And I think Shad Khan kind of figured out quickly. Nobody's getting hired, nobody wants the job. And he gets fired. Now, interestingly enough, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in an effort to maintain the services of one Liam Cohen, their offensive coordinator, who did a phenomenal job last year.
Oh, yeah.
And after he was promoted, when Dave Canales left for Carolina, did a tremendous job in unlocking the run game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with Bucky Irving being a 1,000-yard rusher in his rookie season. He was a candidate who was out there. Tampa Bay threw him a bunch of money. Said, we want you to stay. We don't want you to go. We're going to make you one of the highest paid coordinators in football. On Friday, apparently Tampa Bay was trying to get a hold of Liam Cohen, and he had gone up north to Jacksonville to take the job as head coach reported to take the head coaching job in Jacksonville. What a whirlwind it's been if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan over the last 48 hours.
The crazy thing is, and I heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but I heard that essentially they brought him in and he turned it down, and then Trent Baalke gets fired, and then he's like, Sure.
Okay.
Man. Oh,
Yeah.
wild.
So the common denominator was that the fact that Trent Baalke's not very good at his job.
Yeah.
Or he's just that unlikable of a person because he couldn't get the job done in San Francisco. Then he gets let go. Jacksonville brings him in. Has that one season where they come back to win the AFC South, had that tremendous playoff victory against the Los Angeles Chargers,
Yes.
losing the divisional, and ever since then they've done nothing.
Yeah. That they gave the Chiefs all they could handle in that game. It was a great game, but that was their high point. But yeah, it's amazing. But I just find that funny that he basically said no, thank you, and then Trent Baalke gets fired, and he's like, all right, I'll come in. But I was, and I don't know how you feel about this, Ryan, because you obviously have a different relationship with him as head coach. I think this is a good hire. If I don't know how much credit goes to, I'm not familiar enough with the Bucs. I don't know how much credit goes to the Baker Mayfield sort of rebuild. But if he can do a similar thing with Trevor Lawrence down in Jacksonville, more power to it. I think this could be a decent hire, but I was silently rooting for Robert Saleh to take this job.
I was actually rooting for Robert Saleh to go to Detroit.
Okay.
I was rooting for him to go to Detroit because that's where he's from, Michigan. So it'd be kind of a homecoming for him. But I guess Kyle Shanahan got his mitts on him sooner and said, "Hey, bud, want to run it back into San Fran with me?"
Yeah, he'll rebuild that defense, and it's going to be a problem because San Francisco is going to be healthy again next year. And I don't know, we'll see, but I think that's a smart move by Saleh to kind of rebuild his image. I mean, he if he went to Dallas to be the head coach, I mean, it just. You could say there's a GM in Dallas that not a lot of people want to work with either.
It's true. All right, and then the last hiring, I guess you could say that the last hiring, late last night, Adam Schefter broke the news. Brian Schottenheimer, son of legendary NFL coach Marty Schottenheimer, who was the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys last year, is now going to run the ship in Dallas. If you're a Cowboys fan, you've got to have mixed feelings about this. You've got to have seriously mixed feelings about this because you're basically just running it back with Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
No relation.
Yeah, you got rid of Mike McCarthy to bring in Mike McCarthy light. And no disrespect to Brian Schottenheimer, but he is not his father. And also he has been the offensive coordinator for both our teams, and I do not recall the offense being a machine under Brian Schottenheimer in his tenure with the Seattle Seahawks. I don't remember enough about his Jets run offenses.
I do. He likes to run the ball.
He does,
he had two very good running backs in Thomas Jones and Sean Green. Mm-hmm. And if this is an indication of anything, Dallas is 12th in the draft order. And there is a running back from Boise State who had a tremendous season, Ashton Jeanty. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to try to trade up and get him and make him, and he's going to be their premier running back. This is the running back they've been missing since, I could say, arguably Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he had those brilliant few seasons with Ezekiel Elliott. He put him the ball until he could run no more. But you got a guy in Ashton Jeanty who's an absolute steamroller of a running back. And if he could be your bell cow running back and employ that running game with him in the backfield, Dallas could be a surprising team next year. And they could run it back with the NFC East. But here's the thing. And I'm going to credit Snowman for saying this. The Eagles have passed them by. The Commanders have passed them by. The Giants are a couple players away of passing the Cowboys by.
Wow.
If you're Jerry Jones, what do you do?
Yeah.
If you're in last place next year, what do you do?
Yeah. And I think that's a very smart take because I don't know that the Giants are a couple players from passing them by, but Dallas, for a long time, everybody said, oh, Cowboys, one of the best offensive lines in football. That offensive line is aging. You've got your money tied up into Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, and that's basically it. So how are you going to pay? Did they extend Parsons? Did they extend Parsons? I can't remember.
Not yet. No, they did not. They extended CeeDee Lamb. They extended Dak Prescott for that ridiculous contract that he's held to, and he was hurt from week 8. He was out since week 8. He's been out since week 8.
Yeah.
And who knows what they're gonna do with him if he's gonna be the quarterback of the team next year.
Yeah. It's a team in disarray, and social media is a vacuum, but a lot of comments under this post were not happy about this, but no. I think it's because none of the big names want to work with Jerry Jones because they know they'll have no control over what the team does. And the other thing is, though, let's give Brian a chance. Let's see what he could do. But I think your idea of having them go get Austin Jeanty, I think, is a smart thing because Jerry's got to make a splash somehow because they missed out on Derrick Henry. Their fate could have been completely different if they had Derrick Henry in the backfield because Cooper Rush can hand off the ball, So I think that would be the ticket to go, especially with he's not his father, but he does have, you are right, he does like to run the ball like his father did. So yeah. Ashton Jeanty, my apologies, would be a good pick that makes sense for them.
Yeah, and there are some notable free agents in free agency at running back. A couple of them that could come to mind. Aaron Jones is a free agent. Najee Harris is a free agent. Nick Chubb is a free agent.
Yeah, Nick Chubb. Yeah, wow.
There's some notable names out there. J.K. Dobbins, he'd be a good bridge running back, a nice 1-2 combination. So there are plenty of running backs to sign cheaply while you bring in Ashton Jeanty and get him used to the ebbs and flows of the NFL. But I think if Dallas is smart, if Jerry Jones is smart, and there are some questions these days. There's some questions these days. I think they're going. I think they're going to go over the running back because I think like you said, Dustin, you are a running back stan. You are a big fan of the bell cow running back, as am I. But you're a bigger fan of the bell cow running back. You've seen your fair share of running backs in Seattle. Ricky Waters, Marshawn Lynch, Sean Alexander. You're a big fan. You're a big running back. You're a running back stan.
Oh yeah.
Like you have sung the praises of Saquon Barkley and other running backs this year, Derrick Henry to be an example. So the running game has never really gone away, and I think you're going to see more teams run it back, like kind of do a throwback with the running back position. Mm-hmm. But we got that is our NFL Coaching Carousel update. Where is that? There it is.
That's a beautiful element.
It is. We didn't get to Bobby Slowick, but we'll touch it. We'll talk about him more on Tuesday. Because I don't know what the deal was with him getting fired, but
that shocked me.
That was incredible. And Aaron Glenn, if you know what's good for you, bring that boy in for an interview.
No, bring him to Seattle, Mac.
No, you shut your mouth. You shut your mouth right now.
All right.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I'm still shocked that it happened. I couldn't believe it. That one, when I saw that go across the bottom line on the 4-letter network, I was watching like a college basketball game or something. And when I saw that go across, I did an audible to no one in my house. I went, whoa.
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
And he sent me that little thing on that little Instagram post.
Yeah.
About the Jets, how Aaron Glenn was in 1994 when he was drafted. Pete Carroll was his head coach.
Yeah.
And then this season, Aaron Glenn's coaching, and Aaron Glenn's the head coach of the New York Jets, and Pete Carroll is the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. By the way, they do not play each other this year.
Yeah.
They do not play each other in 2025, which is a shame. So it would be kind of fun to see if that chess match going on.
Yeah.
All right. Our favorite athletes. This is episode number 7 of the new year. Our favorite athletes to wear number 7, which is quickly. And again, caveat is this is athletes we have had to see play. So no Mickey Mantle,
no Mickey,
no Pistol Pete Maravich. I think Pistol Pete Maravich wore number 7, if I'm not mistaken.
But I can't remember. It's tough. It's tough, but it is, and I realize because some people are probably like, how are you not picking Mantle?
He did wear number 7 with the New Orleans Jazz.
Okay.
And the Utah Jazz. Rest in peace, Pete Maravich died. He left us way too soon.
Yeah,
way too soon.
For sure.
But I'll have you start off, Dustin. Your favorite athlete you've ever seen, you've ever watched, wear number 7.
All right. Some people might think, are you going to pick John Elway? The answer is no. I will keep this quick. But I was one of the things, like I said, some of these have been easy for me. Michael Finley was easy. I knew it was going to be Michael Finley immediately. I knew that it was going to be Joe Torre for number 6. People have thoughts about that. Come after me. He's my favorite manager. I love Joe Torre. But number 7, I was like, who am I going to pick? And I'm going through, and I keep saying it. Jermaine O'Neal was the name that popped into my head. And I'm like, no way. I'm like, he cannot be my favorite number 7. So I'm going through Jermaine O'Neal of the Pacers and the, I can't remember some of the other teams he played on.
I gotcha. Trailblazers, Pacers, Raptors, Heat, Celtics, Suns, Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, I still think he could have been great, but he had injuries and the malice at the palace hurt him, lots of things. But I'm going through and I'm like, who wore number 7? And then somebody jumped off the page for me like a bullet. Ivan Rodriguez is the answer. I love to watch Pudge Rodriguez in the late 90s, early 2000s with horrible, let's call it what they were. They had great offenses, but no pitching. Horrible Texas Rangers teams. But he was a pleasure to watch. Specifically, he could hit the ball for a catcher, but he also had a rocket arm, and I love to watch him pick people off. You didn't run on Pudge because he had such an arm that was like, oh man, it was a cannon. And there was something about Pudge Rodriguez. I was like, you know what? I really liked watching Pudge play. And it's a shame that Julie from Michigan is not in the comments today, because then he went to the Tigers and he was good for them as well. In that little, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, in that little World Series run they had.
Yes, 2006. Yes.
Yeah. So, man, it's Pudge Rodriguez. He could hit. He was a good catcher. I think he was a smart catcher, but man, his arm, to watch him throw people out from second base, one of my favorite things. And I don't know enough about that Texas Rangers clubhouse, but he seemed like one of the leaders on that team, on that squad. And man, I just really liked it. And I remember those Texas Rangers with the blue hats. Remember when they switched to the blue hats? I love that. So he was a pleasure to watch play. I know I kept it kind of quick there because I can't really articulate the reason other than I always liked him. Tremendous catcher, tremendous athlete. Your pick, Ryan.
This came down to 2 guys. One of them was a childhood hero of mine. The other one was a very long time, old school hockey guy. So it came down to 2, but I'm going to go with Ken O'Brien, number 7 for the New York Jets, because he was my second favorite quarterback growing up. The guy who got me into football, the quarterback who got me into football was Richard Todd. Mm-hmm. But Ken O'Brien was the guy I watched intently when I was a little kid. And I'll never forget that October 1985 day where he was in a shootout with Dan Marino at the Meadowlands, a Giant Stadium, where I think the final score was 51-45.
Wow.
And he threw a bomb to Wesley Walker that ended the game, and the crowd's going crazy. And Ken O'Brien was I think things would have been much different for the Jets if they had drafted Dan Marino in 1983. If their fortunes would have been much, much different, but also at the same time, I don't think that they would be the same team that they were in the 1980s if they had Dan Marino on their team. their identity would have been much, much different. But Ken O'Brien is one of those 1980s quarterbacks that nobody really talks about a whole lot, and he was actually really good. It's this kid from Division II, UC Davis, getting drafted in the first round of the 1983 draft, that memorable 1983 draft. By the way, one of my favorite 30 for 30s.
Oh yeah, it's a great one.
And not because Tom Selleck was the narrator.
It's a factor.
It's a big factor, but not the primary reason. But it was a great 30 for 30 movie.
Oh no.
But
we got some freezing. Oh.
You're freezing.
Oh man. Are you back?
I'm here.
There we go. Okay. You had frozen on me for a little while, so I didn't know if it was me.
No, you were freezing on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, just jump out and jump back in.
All right.
Live television, folks. Live shows.
Yeah.
The beauty of live streaming. But Ken O'Brien was was my favorite quarterback because I'm a New York Jets fan. Been a New York Jets fan since I was a wee lad, 4 years old. Kermit the Frog. If you don't know that story, go look for it on our shorts on No Credentials Required. I'll tell you the full story from our Victory Mondays back in the day. But this was Ken O'Brien was one of those under the radar quarterbacks in the 1980s who was good but could never get past the divisional. Because I remember the 1986 run with the Jets, they started 10-1, lost their last 5 games, beat Kansas City in the wild card, met Cleveland in the divisional, and they went to double overtime with the Browns. And one of the most epic playoff games ever. And it was a Mark Gastineau roughing the passer penalty that did them in. And I think they would have beaten either New England or Miami. I don't know. They would have beaten Denver in the next round. That was 1987 playoffs. No, I'm sorry. It was the 1987 playoffs because Cleveland played Denver the next week, and that was the 2-minute drill. That was the 2-minute drill that the drive. That one was the drive. So we would have seen a Jets Giants Super Bowl if they had beaten the Browns. But Ken O'Brien was one of those quarterbacks that was just under the radar, really, and just a really solid quarterback, and had a running game to surround him. Had some really good receivers with Al Toon, Wesley Walker, Mickey Schuler. Had some guys in the backfield like Freeman McNeil, Johnny Hector. And had some really solid line protection too. And they had the defense of the New York Sack Exchange that was getting later in their careers. Mark Gastineau, Joe Klecko, Marty Lyons, and Salam. And that team could have won at least one Super Bowl if they had played their cards right. And he also led them on that miracle run in 1991 where they went to the wild card off of a Raul Alegre kick that sent them to the playoffs. They beat Houston in the final game of the year and would lose to Houston in the playoff, the wild card the next week. But yeah, Ken O'Brien was my favorite number 7, one of my favorite quarterbacks growing up. Honorable mention, Chris Chelios.
Okay, yeah.
Honorable mention to him.
Those are good picks. Man. I liked hearing about it because I wasn't really watching football all that much during that time, so I don't have a lot of memories. But no, I like it. I like this because both of us, I think, are picking some picks that are surprising to some. You know, we're not coming out of the gate with some obvious ones because you never know why or how you're going to form a connection with an athlete. But you do sometimes, you know. It's a fun thing, and this was a great idea. I'll take the moment to compliment you on coming up with this idea. It's a good one. It's a fun one to figure out. Who am I picking each week, you know? Yeah.
And fun, it's interesting enough, Kenny O'Brien is one of those guys who's kind of under the radar in life. I don't think he makes many public appearances, or if you ran into him in the street, like you're like, he's just a normal dude. But we're gonna get out of here. We got stuff to do, but in the meantime, follow us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Also, check out more of our stuff at bellyupsports.com for additional podcasts and articles too. Got some great stuff up there on BellyUpSports.com. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Pandora. And don't forget to get yourself notified. Hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when show announcements go up, when YouTube on the YouTube side, you know when new videos go up. This recording will be on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel at 1 o'clock Eastern on Saturdays and at 8 a.m. Wednesday mornings as well. And also, please don't forget to rate, review, leave a comment. 5-star rating would be helpful. If you're on a platform where you can review, leave us a review. If you're on Spotify, you can comment on every episode. Leave us a comment. We'll even read it on the air. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thank you for tuning into No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll talk to you on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Until then, enjoy the football. We'll talk to you again soon.
Good morning, everybody.
I'm going to play it one more time.
Listen, we've got to do this. Let me hear you all say, E-L-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Let's go, Birds!
She's totally getting primaried.
Subscribe to the Belly Up YouTube channel if you haven't. There's a lot of good stuff to check out on there.
And
unlike the mayor of Philadelphia, we at Belly Up can spell correctly. Good morning, everybody.
There it is.
This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. Gladiator 2 is now streaming on Paramount Plus. Rated R. Years after the death of Maximus, Lucius is forced into the Colosseum after his home is conquered by tyrannical twin Roman emperors. With the future of the empire at stake, he must find strength and honor to return the glory of Rome to its people. Gladiator 2, now streaming on ParamountPlus.com.